The aim of the seminar is to demonstrate how engineers can integrate to lead the way in decarbonising energy use. The webinar will introduce the concept of the programme, outlining the journey a typical community can undertake to support a low carbon development within their locality. A key component of this journey is an energy master plan. Our speaker will introduce the plan, its link with the SEC, how it entails and how it can provide a roadmap for communities in raising awareness, energy awareness and implementing technical interventions to realise a zero carbon future in energy use. So our speaker this evening is Laurence O'Reilly, an engineer consultant with ORS and a Midlands-based county mentor on the Sustainable Energy Communities programme for Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland. In supporting communities throughout Laois and Offaly, Laurence provides technical input in developing communities' engagement strategies and expanding the status of an SEC to ready them for an energy master plan study. Laurence and his team at ORS also provide energy master plan studies for a wide range of community groups across the entire county, developing unique roadmaps for energy projects that can bring towns and villages towards lower carbon emissions. Laurence has a strong passion for promoting climate action and the positive effects our communities can have on this transition throughout all of Ireland. So I'll hand you over to Laurence now, and after the presentation there will be a Q&A, so you can place your Q&A in the session there and we'll address those after the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jean. I'm just going to wait for you to let me know if you can actually see my screen there.
I can, Laurence, yes, go ahead.
Thanks very much. So good evening to everyone on the call, and you're all very welcome to the presentation on the topic of sustainable energy communities and energy master plan studies as part of, I suppose, this fantastic series that's been run by Engineers Ireland as part of their Sustainability Grand Tour. I suppose hopefully from the material and information delivered this evening that I suppose you'll come away from this presentation with a better insight into the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland initially, and then the Sustainable Energy Communities Programme, and I suppose how communities from the ground up are strategically working to become greener, healthier, and fundamentally more self-sufficient places to live and call our home, with a real specific focus on energy efficiency, renewable energy technologies, and clean transport. So the theme of this overall tour is in respect to sustainable cities and communities originating from the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and there's no doubt that the SEAI's Sustainable Energy Communities Programme can really be a catalyst for driving many of the initiatives that define such a space. At the conclusion of this presentation, I hope you'll be better able to understand this link and possibly seek to join or even develop such a group within your own community, whereas I think engineers and industry professionals on this call from varying backgrounds can really offer so much really expert support and advice to really help the development and growth of your communities and helping your community. Before I move on, I'd like to give a special thanks, of course, to Engineers Ireland for having ORS here this evening. A special thanks to Sinead and Jean for organising and arranging this presentation, and also for the initial introduction given there as well. So I'll very briefly begin with the agenda for this evening. First, we'll introduce the Sustainable Energy Community, or the SEC programme. We'll give you a high-level summary of what it's all about, alongside the supports which are available when a community registers on the network. We'll also talk through the various stages and milestones that are associated with a typical sustainable energy community, and how we can move from, I suppose, a community which starts out with loads of questions and intrigue regarding energy to a community which is very much armed with knowledge of what to do, how to do it, and of course, an actual formal roadmap and strategy for actually getting energy projects done. A large part of this process and how this process is delivered is through what's known as an energy master plan. And we'll also aim to touch briefly on what this is and what it can actually do and achieve for an active and engaged sustainable energy community, or SEC as we refer to it throughout the presentation. So to formally introduce myself, I'm Laurence O'Reilly, a senior energy consultant and team leader of the energy management team here in ORS. We have several offices nationwide alongside a growing base in the UK. And when I'm not working from home, as is the case for so many on the call here today, Mullingar would be my base. So I suppose, who are ORS? Well, we are a prominent Irish multidisciplinary building consultancy based across the country and into the UK. And this year we are celebrating our 30th year. The firm offers design, planning, and management advice that is supported by expert guidance in energy efficiency. We have a team of highly skilled designers, architects, we have consulting engineers, planners, scientists, and surveyors that support in the effective delivery of all our projects. And that cross collaboration is a very strong part of what ORS does to deliver a quality service for its clients. Within ORS, there's a range of teams that provide blended and bespoke services to our clients. We are one of the only Irish consultancies offering this particular blend of service. Although some of our clients may only require one service at a particular time, the support from other specialist fields is of significant value in many of our projects. This model helps us in ensuring the highest standards in quality and efficiency are achieved for our clients when we actually go to site and help them out. In terms of our energy management team here in ORS and our typical day-to-day services, we work closely with the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, providing support on a range of different programs to the public sector, for example, to communities as well. We conduct energy master plan studies, and of course, we are mentors for the program itself. We also provide consultancy on renewable energy projects, supporting the design, construction, and delivery of these projects. We conduct energy audits of all class of non-domestic buildings and also provide these in accordance with SI 426 for some of our larger clients. So kind of moving on from ourselves and more specific to the topic that we're going to discuss today in regard to the SEC program, ORS support the SEAI within the Midlands and the southeast of Ireland specifically. So I myself am what's known as a county mentor for communities throughout Laois and Offaly, where my colleagues Isabella Donnelly, Mark Robertson, Hugh Baxter, Dara Prunty, and Brian Collentine are mentors and regional coordinators throughout Longford and Westmeath also. So to explain, energy consultants have been appointed by the SEAI to support each sustainable energy community within a specific region. So every county is provided with a county mentor whose role it is to assist an SEC in progressing through the various stages and milestones that will be associated with the overall SEC program. So to find a mentor in your own county, you can simply email the SEAI's SEC team, check them out online on their website, or reach out to myself after this call through my contact details here on the slide. So I'll help you and link you in with the appropriate county mentor for your own region. So county mentors will assist in helping you and your community in understanding the SEC program. Mentors help in growing the profile of the committee within the community. They support in helping the team on how to evaluate energy within your community, such as through using statistical analysis from various sources. We also assist with identifying grants and funding resources to help complete projects, such as the Energy Master Plan, and by helping the community to secure funding, to develop a scope, what the actual Energy Master Plan will entail, to support in appointing a consultant, and to actually evaluate their work as well with the community. As your SEC grows, so will the interactions between you and the county mentor. Basically, the more a community engages with the mentor, the more the county mentor can actually give back and support that community. So it's all about engaged community groups working alongside our county mentor to that overall objective. So outside of our role and region as county mentors and regional coordinators, ORS also act as energy master plan consultants. So we're currently completing these for a number of communities nationwide. We've developed studies for SECs in Sligo Town, Inishowen along the peninsula, Lochmore Castleiney, Arranmore Island, and a few communities in Kildare as a support through Kildare County Council. And we're seeing a lot more local authorities come on board in supporting their communities through the development of the energy master plans. So with Kildare County Council, we've helped to support communities such as Clane, Maynooth, Monasterevin, and Kilcullen. And we hope to see many more communities come on board as this support grows and the focus becomes more and more on the communities and the energy master plans themselves. So who runs the SEC program and a little bit about them? Well, the Sustainable Energy Communities program was developed and it is run by the SEAI, who are otherwise known as the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland. The SEAI are Ireland's national sustainable energy authority, whose task it is to transition Ireland to becoming more efficient in how we use our energy, along with assisting in developing renewable energy technologies when it comes to how we actually generate our energy. The SEAI work with homeowners, they work with businesses of all sizes, and of course, the communities, such as through the SEC program. They work with government bodies, local authorities, semi-state bodies, and central government. The focus of the SEAI is on cleaning energy used to provide electricity, heat, and transport, and improve our efficiency when it comes to how we actually consume this resource. In respect to the communities program, and I think the graphic on our slide here is a really good illustration of how the SEC network developed. From the very top at government and at national level, and how that's kind of filtered all the way down to our local communities itself. So really the feet on the ground. The requirement for community engagement in respect to climate action really began at central government to identify this area as one of the key drivers and influencers toward actually achieving climate action and our national targets. The idea of a sustainable energy communities program came about as a result, and the SEAI, through the appointment of the county mentors that we mentioned on our previous slides within each county, provide that underground technical support to these groups. So helping SECs in identifying their energy needs that are very specific to their location. The objective is to really help the SEC in influencing the wider public initially, so the people within their area in making these early stage changes and interventions that can benefit our overall objective of ultimately reducing carbon emissions. This really means engagement and learning at the early stages, transitioning then to planning and completing of energy projects down the road. So this program is fundamentally about giving power back to local communities to help them to develop a strategic roadmap for low carbon that's very specific to their own local needs. But why are communities so important when it comes to Ireland's transition from, I suppose, where we are now and where we've been to becoming low carbon and achieving our climate action targets in the future? Well, the transition to becoming low carbon and energy efficiency is more than just to do with the technology we use, but how we actually interact with energy and decisions we make in that process. It's very much a social movement as it is a technological one. Community groups have an immense influence on social behaviours. This is largely due to the presence of groups within the locality, and particularly in Ireland, we have a strong presence in communities through our tidy towns, through our GAA clubs, for example, and some other local community organisations. Some of the greatest local and national achievements have really originated from these voluntary groups of very much engaged and active people who are very passionate about their own home and their own place. Communities are also very much aware of the sensitivities that are associated with their specific local needs and where they live. So I think this whole one-size-fits-all solution that comes from the top down, it won't work. So this really has to be a bottom-up approach where the communities feel empowered into the change and the transition that's currently happening in terms of low energy. Community groups have built up trust with many various groups and individuals throughout the locality also over the many years of dealing with them. The people in these groups are seen as real leaders in the community. They can be trusted and can really help in engaging people who might otherwise be lost. They might not necessarily fit the demographic of sustainable energy, but they have a huge voice and they have a huge contribution to offer to this program and how the community transitions and develops. The community is also multi-generational, and it's really about encouraging it's really about encouraging that gap in age, for example, doesn't become a barrier, that everybody is involved. So because of all of what we've just mentioned here, the development of the SEC has really become a key action in the National Climate Action Plan, whereby a significant amount of funding has been allocated to support the growth of this program and the positive impact that it can have and that we are seeing from the program's origin. So what is a sustainable energy community? Well, I suppose by definition, and I'll read directly from the slide here, a sustainable energy community, or an SEC, is a group of people in which everyone works together to develop a sustainable energy system for the benefit of the community. This is achieved by aiming as far as possible to be energy efficient, through using renewable energy where feasible, and by adopting smart energy solutions. So registering your community as an SEC has many benefits. These benefits include the identification and financial support for renovations within your community, opportunities to save on energy costs for homeowners and local businesses. I suppose you can have your community directly involved in positively influencing the national and international climate action and the debate as well. You know, you're really involved in that debate and that discussion. A 100% funded energy master plan study of your community. This is one of the major benefits of being part of this particular program. And the development of healthier buildings by making them warmer and more comfortable, particularly for our most vulnerable. And the development of our communities through the identification of sustainable transport solutions, grow positive relationships with communities locally and nationally, as well as our local authorities. So this is very much an open and shared network where all communities communicate together on the various initiatives that are happening. Potential opportunities to also become more self-sufficient, such as through community-owned electricity generation projects, which can have significant benefits financially for a community. And there are examples of those currently across Ireland where communities are getting huge benefit from community-owned energy generation sites. And finally, it really helps to develop a strong sense of community togetherness, which I think we'll all agree has become more important than ever over the past 12, 13 months after what we've all experienced. So I suppose currently, to give you an idea of the scope and where we're currently at, there is an excess of 500 SECs registered on the network throughout all of Ireland. The ambition is to have as many SECs as we have GAA clubs registered in the country, which is in excess of 2,000. So that's the aim for SECs in the coming years. So moving on and looking into the SEC in more detail and the broader roadmap of, I suppose, how progression is typically mapped for an SEC and what the generic roadmap would look like. So we're in a position where generally, I suppose, most people in a community who have not registered or just recently registered to become an SEC would have a low level of knowledge of energy, energy management, how to reduce energy use, and how to save money, alongside some larger topics such as community energy generation that we mentioned there previously, through renewable technologies, and also transport as well. So these are quite complex issues. So from this starting point, we need to get the SEC and the community to a position where they are actively participating in and completing energy saving projects that actually influence what we've just referenced. So this image here illustrates to us how an SEC will make this transition, which is through 3 primary phases or milestones, which are known as the Learn, Plan, Do. So with the first phase, after a community registers as an SEC, the SEC will receive an information pack from the SEAI, and that'll provide guidance on basic information on how to save energy and learning supports about the basics of energy. The SEC will also get supports from their county mentor and will be encouraged to attend various events, workshops, and webinars to really help to grow their base of knowledge. The SEC will also aim to grow by allowing more and more people from various backgrounds within the community to actually come on board, join the committee, and support in the development of the SEC. So once the SEC's vision is established, they move to what's known as the plan phase. That's the guy in the middle of our graph here, and now have the option to have our energy master plan complete. So this is a 100% funded energy study of the community. It's funded by the SEAI and provides the SEC with the community's current energy baseline, alongside a strategic roadmap for energy saving projects and opportunities to reduce carbon emissions and to improve energy efficiency. The final stage of the plan is the do phase. So this is where the SEC will mobilize and utilize all that they have learned and planned from their energy master plan to avail of grant supports to have specifically identified energy projects complete. But the SEC should really, you're not encouraged to stop here. Once stage 3 is complete and you've identified a number of projects and you've actually complete those projects themselves, the SEC should reevaluate. They should identify, I suppose, what they have learned. They should look to recruit more people from across the community, and they should set new targets to complete more projects. And this is really what's part of that roadmap, or this ongoing cycle of continuous improvement for the community in energy efficiency. So with that, we'll have a quick overview of the learn phase. We'll break down all of the different phases and we'll speak about them in more detail. So once an SEC becomes registered on a network with the SEAI, the following supports are made available to them. So first of all, you get your mentor. So the county mentor will be notified of your community's registration. If you were based in Laois or Offaly, that would be myself or Mark Robertson. We would get an email notifying us that you have actually joined the network, and we would make contact with you. So we'd look to have an initial meet and greet and just have that early stage kickoff meeting. This will open up the learning supports available to the SEC. So these are primarily through the likes of webinars over the last 12, 13 months, helpful information, leaflets, general support in how to interact with the community and kind of supporting in that interaction with the community. And then you'll also have direct support from the mentor as well. So energy advice, understanding energy in the community, where the opportunities may exist, and what the direction of the SEC should kind of look like. Shared learning. So the SEC it's an open and an active network where the SEAI promote active shared learning. So many other SECs would have already advanced within this program and will have a wealth of knowledge and experience to inform others. So that's another support that's provided to the SEC in the learn stage. Really opens up that network of communities from all across Ireland, so you can learn exactly what they've done to manage energy efficiency and low carbon developments in their own community. And not necessarily reinventing the wheel, using these models if it's a similar community within your own community. So this also exposes the SEC to what other communities are going to be doing regarding engagement within the community as well. The various stakeholders that need to come on board or should come on board, or who are encouraged to come on board, what projects look like, alongside the formal processes for actually completing these. So one of the first actions of becoming an SEC is to build a steering committee. Now, while there's no limit to the size of an SEC in terms of its steering committee and the number of members that need to be involved, this is obviously going to vary whether it's a large town or a very, very small village. It is advised that a strong, robust, passionate and engaged group is developed at the early stage. where stakeholders from the various different sectors are represented if possible. So when deciding on the size of a team, you might be looking at anywhere between 3 to 8 people with representatives from various sectors such as residential associations, local businesses, local schools, any of your local clubs like your soccer, your GAA clubs, any of your men's sheds, tidy towns representatives, really making sure that you have representatives from all across the board, and also local representatives and elected officials, as they can really give you a voice with county council and can help support the development of your own committee. The SEC should also be aiming to expand and bring in as many voices as possible to help in the positive development of the group. So don't be limiting yourselves to only a couple of members. Let the community grow, and it'll flourish as a result. Once the group is defined, the SEC, through the help of their county mentor, should identify any skills that are there internally and identify if they require support with any others. So the SEC can actively look for those skills from within the community. So if you're looking for somebody who has specific knowledge in energy efficiency, community engagement, in financing, you can look for those within the community, or else you can seek support from the SEAI and the mentor yourself if you want to get additional training or supports or workshops to help upskill the current members on the committee. So like I say, this might involve specific training and workshops on the core areas of energy management and what is required for an SEC to develop. So this slide here demonstrates some of the tasks or actions an SEC would typically undertake in the learn stage. So this involves research of energy within the community, learning of the different facets and users of energy within the community, whether it's through transport, our local businesses, whether it's the residential housing stock, community-owned buildings, and identifying are there any renewable technologies within our own community. So really learning, are we actually, maybe we're in a good position, we don't actually know. There should also be a few steering meetings with all of the members of the SEC discussing the programme, what the overall vision of this committee is about, their general high-level roadmap of what they want to achieve, and then organising training supports alongside developing community engagement strategies, whether that's through informative webinars with the local community or public meets once the current COVID restrictions lift. So really opening up the town hall again and getting people in, and having guest speakers from existing SECs that have gone all the way to local contractors who provide works in energy efficiency, to energy consultants, to your county mentor as well. So the SEC is also advised to allocate time to research supporting grants, how to finance projects, and smart energy technologies such as the likes of our heat pumps, our solar systems, electric vehicles, and so on, and all of these things that actually make and define a region to be low carbon and energy efficient. So following on from these initial meetings, the SEC would look to grow awareness of the committee throughout the wider catchment. So this would include the development of marketing material and utilising resources such as maybe social media or developing a web page, hosting a launch event, and developing and distributing basic energy surveys. So the development of logo and a core primary contact are also very helpful at this stage, as it helps to tie the programme back and grow its familiarity within the community. So all of these can be supported again by your mentor. These events and actions should aim to essentially grow the profile of the committee within the community, to really help recruit more members and to help raise the funds and attract sponsors to help the SEC to actually grow and expand and achieve something. So I think that very simply summarizes the learn stage of the SEC. So I'm going to move on to the plan stage now, and we'll kind of discuss what's involved in a high level in that particular phase of the program. So the plan stage is where the SEC moves into a phase of really trying to quantify their energy baseline and identifying actual energy saving projects from within their own community specifically. So firstly, transitioning from the learn phase to the plan phase, it does allow the SEC to receive more of this technical support from their mentors as their primary support. However, one of the, I suppose, the key resources available to an SEC throughout this stage is the technical and financial support of this energy master plan that we've referenced. The community is also supported in the creation of their own charter, which is essentially a vision statement for the community, and very briefly summarizes their sustainable energy goals by being part of this program. A competency assessment can also be completed to further identify both the strengths and weaknesses of the team. And all of these will form part of the process of delivering this aforementioned energy master plan, and really nailing down what the formal scope should look like and where it should develop from. At this stage of the program, the SEC are expected to really be given their time and expertise, that local knowledge, and And in turn, this is balanced by the SEAI providing funding, providing that technical support, and really assisting the SEC in the development of their own key skills. So this slide here illustrates what a community charter and competency assessment looks like. So we spoke about those in the last slide, and this kind of gives us a bit of a visual of what they actually look like for a community. And they're very basic, simple tools. The charter primarily provides a platform for the community to develop a strong statement of the community's overall vision by being part of this program. So this is a statement that the SEC can, they can always look back on to bring them into focus if they lose direction, for example. This is then elaborated, and more of how the community will work together is defined within it. So this is signed by the committee and creates that formal commitment from the SEC to work towards this overall goal of sustainable development. The competency assessment, then, this is a simple scoring summary of the SEC's current skill set and identifies where the SEC's strengths and weaknesses are. So these scores are displayed against a number of key competencies that are required to meet the challenges that we would see a typical SEC face in their lifetime, and really helps to tailor the supports provided by the SEAI also. So you can see from our slide here that the core areas of competencies for an SEC kind of vary from skills in developing partnerships within the community to engagement with the community, all the way to energy efficiency and strategic finance. So it's a broad range of skills and knowledge. So I think completing this tool is a really fundamental part of understanding the whole scope of the SEC and where your own skills and weaknesses exist to try and bolster and strengthen the community's program. One of the main supports available to the SEC within the plan phase is, of course, this Energy Master Plan. So this is a 100% funded energy analysis of the community. Essentially, what happens here is an energy consultant is engaged by the SEC to come into the community and provide a report on the current energy baseline within the community, alongside a chronological and very clear list of opportunities that exist to improve energy efficiency, to increase the use of renewable energy technologies, to support in changing in behavior within the community around energy, and really ultimately reducing carbon emissions in the area. So the inverted pyramid here on our slide, it illustrates to us, I suppose, how this process occurs in principle. So initially, the consultant will conduct our desktop analysis of the community's energy use. So we'll do this using local knowledge, engagement with the community through webinars and interactive surveys to get their feedback, and then analysing statistical data from the CSO and SEAI's BE or heat map databases. So site visits are then usually carried out on set buildings that are, I suppose, formally identified by the community themselves. I suppose examples of these would be community centres, GAA facilities, local businesses, and then a select number of homes as well to get a sample of how the homes are actually performing in real life. So it's one thing to use the statistical analysis to try and get a picture, but actually going out to site is another ball game altogether, and it really helps to hone in on exactly what's happening within the community to give real-time projects for the community to fire ahead with. From the findings of these studies and surveys, a register of opportunities is developed, and that's a really important term when it comes to an energy master plan, is this register of opportunities. This is essentially a chronological list of energy upgrades that will be available for each building type and sector, with a detailed analysis of the cost savings associated with these projects, the investment cost, carbon and energy savings. So really allowing you to quantify, if you implement these projects, what type of carbon and energy savings will we have over a fixed period. So this forms the basis of the community's action plan. So now that the SEC are aware of projects that are there and the costs that will be associated with these projects, they can use their strategic roadmap to actually complete some or all of them in the ideal scenario. And the EMP will detail this roadmap and also identify the appropriate funding streams and financial support to allow the community to realize these projects. And all the while, the community, it's very important to say, are fully engaged and immersed in participating in the development of this document with the energy consultants, because really it's theirs, it belongs to the community, and they really must have an integral part of the development of it. So we mentioned that the EMP is 100% funded by the SEAI. Well, there is a number of funding levels that are available, and the level your SEC will qualify for is based on the energy spend associated with your community. So how do we determine this? Well, the SEC will work closely with your mentor, and you can use the likes of your CSO data, for example, and we can very easily determine the energy spend of the community. Typically, however, just to put a bit of perspective, a small village will qualify for up to €10,000 in funding for the Energy Master Plan. A typical town would qualify for €15,000. Some of your larger towns and counties would qualify for up to €20,000, while a national scale SEC would qualify for up to €25,000. So typically we're looking at SECs that qualify for either the 10 or the €15,000 in funding support. This funding can go entirely to the consultant developing the Energy Master Plan, or alternatively, a small fraction can go directly to the SEC in the development of marketing materials, such as developing websites, developing posters, all that kind of stuff to try and help promote and grow the profile of the SEC within the community. So here we have a sample of the opportunities and actions that an Energy Master Plan might recommend. So initially we'd be looking at identifying the current understanding and relationship between local people and energy to determine if there are low cost and effective approaches to actually reducing our energy use by simply changing how people interact with energy within the area. This may prompt the recommendation of types of training or awareness events. After this, typically you would see recommendations such as your low-hanging fruit, lighting upgrades within homes and businesses, on our public roads, all the way through to upgrading building fabric and installing better quality insulation to really reduce heat loss and heat demand on houses and businesses. This might include extra insulation to the likes of our attics, our walls, and our floors. It might also include window and external door upgrades. Often we will see recommendations that HVAC or heating systems for homes and businesses be replaced or at least optimized by installing more efficient systems or upgrading controls to get the most out of what is actually installed on site. After these, we would typically be seeing recommendations for the introduction and implementation of on-site renewable technologies such as solar thermal and solar electrical generation, the likes of wind, biomass, and heat pump systems as well. So the type of renewables that would be recommended typically vary depending on the region and what natural resources are actually there. And this is more prevalent when it comes to the larger scale renewable energy projects that are fundamentally 100% owned by the community. And they would include the likes of wind and solar farms, anaerobic digesters, geothermal systems, CHP, hydro. The EMP will look at, I suppose, transport in the area also, what the profile looks like and what potential projects may be in this particular sector. So I suppose primarily based around high level opportunities, really, such as the likes of implementing and introducing EV charging within key locations around the town and the village. So that's really a scope of what the Energy Master Plan will try to deliver to the community throughout the process of its study. So once we have this strategic low carbon roadmap complete, or our Energy Master Plan complete, and our SEC begins the process of addressing this resulting energy of opportunities, well, what happens next? Well, we then transition to the do phase of the program. So this is where our SEC will take a number of the actions that were identified within the report, and through the various funding opportunities that will be highlighted within the Energy Master Plan, energy projects can advance. And what are the benefits of this phase? And our slide here attempts to highlight, I suppose, a number of these, which range from benefits to health, to our environment, our local economy, and I suppose social and strategic elements. These benefits include improved air quality, along with warmer, more comfortable homes. We can develop employment opportunities for local businesses and local contractors, and also have buildings that are fundamentally cheaper to run and are healthier for the occupants. And all of these are essentially core components of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that we're familiar with. So now that we've gone through, I suppose, the process of an SEC and given a high-level summary of the Energy Master Plan and what it means, and I suppose the typical milestones that might be associated with it, I'd like to use this opportunity to highlight the next steps for anybody on the call who might be interested in progressing this program within your own region, and really where you go next to try and forward that. So I suppose first, we need to register your community as a sustainable energy community if it's not already been done, or if one doesn't already exist. So this is very simple and can be done by clicking on the SEC registration link here that you can see on the slide, or by simply Googling SEAI Sustainable Energy Communities Program. So after this simple application has been submitted, you'll await contact from your county mentor. And the aim is to grow the SEC and pull together, that team from across the entire community with the support from your community and your mentor. The SEC will then identify the key stakeholders within the community and develop their scope from here. holding an event of some description is always a great idea in the early days. I appreciate that, because of COVID restrictions, we're quite limited to what we can do, but we can use online platforms in the meantime to try and reach out to the community and let them know that, look, this movement is happening and this is what it's all about. We can also look at simple engagement surveys or questionnaires. So essentially drafting up these surveys and questionnaires and pushing them out to the community, and getting a bit of feedback and response from them in terms of their interpretation of energy and low carbon and climate change, and really giving everybody that voice within the community to join the SEC if they want, or influence the direction of the SEC. And really providing the community with basic information on the SEC as well. So what the plan is on energy, what it means, alongside a primary contact for the SEC. It's always important to identify that primary contact, whether it's through an email address or a Facebook page or a website. So people have a contact that they know they can go to get information and updates on the program. So these actions really prepare the SEC to transition towards the process of the Energy Master Plan, and I suppose that broader aim of really getting to the do phase of the program and completing these energy saving projects that will be highlighted as a result. So I think now we've broadly covered the SEC program. I'd just like to take a few minutes just to look through some of the resources that are available throughout and beyond the lifespan of an SEC to help not just SECs, but all forms of stakeholders, from local businesses, community centres, to your standard one-off homeowner. So this will be, I suppose, a very high-level review. I'll aim to skim through it, I suppose, as quick as I can. But just to note that the majority of these will become more and more relevant to your SEC if you join the program as it progresses, and your mentor will also be familiar with most of these. So I suppose don't worry if you miss anything here. There's plenty of opportunities to explore them again if you do progress with the program, and also to be aware that there are various SEC support webinars and workshops that are ongoing all throughout the year on various different areas. We just reach out to the communities and just speak about energy efficiency, about community-owned energy generating sites, about grant supports and resources. And really it's just to kind of keep an eye out for those things. And if it's something that you're interested in, to jump on board and learn a bit more about the SEC program and what it's actually all about and how it's aiming to really work towards this low carbon reality for our communities. So I suppose as we're all no doubt aware, one of the major barriers for any organization, any business or any homeowner, it's really the funding of energy projects and finding that finance to help deliver them. So to help cross this roadblock, the SEAI have a series of grants and funding supports for carrying out energy efficiency works. So within the residential sector, we typically have in the region of 30% funding for installation upgrades for the likes of our heat pump installations, upgrading heating controls, as well as solar electric and solar thermal renewable systems. So these are your simple one-off roof-mounted systems. More details on these, I suppose, can also be found on the SEAI's website. And again, a proportion of the Energy Master Plan will cover projects that can actually be captured under these funding supports. So this specific fund that you see on the slide here is known as the Better Energy Homes Grant. The primary aim, and I suppose message here, is really to reduce energy use first by improving energy efficiency in the building. So this will be known as a fabric first approach, and really involves improving the quality of insulation within the building, reducing heat loss through better quality fabric, or limiting unwanted air permeability. So we'd focus on optimizing heating system controls also, and the types of lighting installed before we look to, the more advanced systems like installing electrical renewable energy systems like solar PV. So we're really targeting our energy use first. We're trying to reduce that by becoming more efficient in how we use energy and the demands we have on our energy. And then we start to implement the likes of our air to water heat pump systems, our renewable energy technologies, essentially where it's feasible to do so. The community grants program. So this is another avenue that communities can utilize to, again, fund projects which are identified as part of the EMP, or whether you're aware of any projects that you have yourself. You don't necessarily need to be part of an SEC, although it does help in this process. So this is a funding support, again, provided by the SEAI, which provides from 30 to 80% funding for energy efficiency projects. The rate of funding, percentage of funding, is, I suppose, depends on the type of individual that we're dealing with. Is it a homeowner? Is it a local business? Is it a charity? Is it a community organization? The community grants program can be applied to domestic projects, commercial, public sector, not-for-profit projects, and includes building fabric upgrades like insulating our walls, our roofs, replacing our windows, upgrades to services such as boilers, heating systems, ventilation systems, heating controls, and lighting, alongside our renewables such as our PV and wind. The idea of this grant is to include the balance of the community in the application. So we would not just apply for a one-off home. What would happen is you would have an application that would apply to upgrade a series of homes, a series of businesses, a series of community centres, or a combination of them all. So where a community only has a small number of projects for this grant, what you can do is you can team up with another community anywhere across the country to make your application larger, which is very helpful and can really it can really help in securing funding, as the communities grant, it is a competitive grant, and all applications, they'll be scored on scale, they'll be scored on the energy savings and the reduced carbon emissions associated with them. The first step in this process will be contacting what's known as a project coordinator. If you simply Google project coordinator, SEAI, you'll get a list of registered project coordinators, and they will help if you have a project and putting it into an application and getting it across the line. In 2019, the government provided 25 million euro, supporting 57 projects, reducing over 34,000 tonnes of CO2 per year through this particular grant program. So it's having a huge impact. 28 million in funding was announced for this program in 2021 budget. I think the applications are closed at the moment, but you want to keep an eye out. They'll open up again potentially in the middle of the summer, if not November, October, and projects can be applied for 2022 into that area. So for more information on the communities grant, again, I'd advise that you visit the SEAI's website or contact a project coordinator that we referenced just a moment ago. Moving on, we also have specialist supports for businesses such as the SSRH, or a support scheme for renewable heat, which funds the installation of renewable energy technologies which provide heat. So these would include the installation of air, ground, and water source heat pumps, along with a collection of others, and supports up to 30% of the capital cost of the project. And we also have the SEAI's Exceed program, otherwise known as Excellence in Energy Efficient Design. So this is aimed more toward larger organizations and industries and provides up to 1 million per project in grant support. The SEAI also provides what's known as a EEE register, which is a register of products that have a high term of performance, and it can be a really helpful source when you're trying to decide on specific products to use in an energy efficiency project. So if they're registered on the EEE register, you're given that peace of mind to know that it's an energy efficient product. After these, we have the Energy Efficiency Obligation Scheme from large energy suppliers. And most recently, we have the RES, a Renewable Energy Support Scheme, which is a community, I suppose there's a community category within the RES support scheme designed to help communities to win contracts for selling energy that they generate from community-owned energy generation sites. So this really refers back to that, I suppose a big aim of any community is to have their own wind or solar farm, but that needs to generate income for the community if they're looking to sell back to the grid. And the RES provides a community category within an option for communities to specifically guarantee rates for every kilowatt earned on their system to sell back to the grid for a fixed period of time. So this source of income can in turn be redistributed back into the community to further fund projects and enhance the energy profile within the area. And there's some fantastic examples of this happening across Ireland. And I would encourage anybody to just Google community-owned energy generating sites to see what exactly is happening within this space and the benefits that they are actually having for communities. The SEAI also provides a range of resources such as general training and information to help your community better understand energy and all that will come with this area. I'm not sure if these slides will be made available. However, I've left a link to each resource within the title on the slide here. So essentially, if you click SEC webinars, it'll bring up all the webinars that were recently made available through YouTube. But it's good to know if you don't have access to these slides that you can still access all of these webinars through YouTube and SEAI's web page there. These resources are very, very helpful places to start for anybody who's interested in energy, regardless of whether you're part of an SEC or not. or if you have a technical background or not. So it's really made for a wide-ranging audience. The webinars are also very helpful to run as mini events for startup SECs. So there's a list of maybe 10 webinars where you could select, maybe 3 or 4 and possibly run them over a series of evenings within the community. So there's also the Energy Academy, which is primarily based on businesses or primarily based at businesses, and provides training on behavioral awareness programs, along with how to, I suppose, assess your own energy use and energy management within your own organization. And finally, we have our county mentors. That will be myself here today, whose role it is to provide strategic energy management support to your SEC group, to really help that group to grow and understand the influence that they can have, to understand energy within the community, and really to understand how to begin the process of actually reducing your baseline energy consumption and carbon footprint. So with that, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you all for tuning in this evening. Many thanks again to both Sinead and Jean of Engineers Ireland and of the Midlands branch for giving us this platform to speak to you on the SEC programme and the Energy Master Plan process. And